try something a little different. This is me out on the road here in St. Augustine. I actually went to a place, Tone Vendors Record Shop, very cool. Picked up a couple of things, and we'll see them in this week's episode. So that's it's pretty neat. And walking down by Sebastian Harbor Drive on King Street, I'm just going to run into this place called Carmela's Marketplace, which is like a gas station right by the police department. And we'll talk about my lovely eye, because, you know, there's always some adventure to be had. Believe me, no records were hurt during the filming of this week's episode. Here was the host. So, big old crackhead me just left my second stop on this music adventure. And this place was called Music Matters. As music does matter, it's basically lifeblood for a lot of us record addicts that are out there. And very cool shop. The owner, Eric, super cool dude. You know, very cool to hang out with him, check out his shop, and grabbed a couple of things. So we'll see what that's all about. You know, we'll definitely get a chance to see that. Having a good time here in St. Augustine, doing a little record shopping. This week's episode of Ant on Music. I, of course, am Ant, your host, and we got a special episode this week. Aren't they all special? This week, if you watched the last video, which I don't think too many of you did, go back and watch it. 9 Inch Nails. So, I escaped from New York. Yes, I finally left the state of New York. I should really say the tri-state area of New York, Connecticut, and New Jersey. And I made my way down to beautiful, sunny St. Augustine, Florida, to spend some time with my baby girl at her college for Parents' Weekend. It was very cool. But let's address the elephant in the room. And I don't mean me, but I mean my eye. So, basically, I get down to Florida. All right? Get down to Florida. I get there on a Thursday afternoon and, you know, get the rental car, drive to the hotel, the whole 9 yards, and supposed to meet my daughter for dinner. All right. So I go to meet my daughter for dinner, and as I'm exiting the hotel to go pick her up, I go to open the rental car door. And I subsequently smack myself in the head. And not just a little smack, I mean gushing with blood. I have nothing in this rental car, no tissues, no nothing. So I go running back into the hotel, covering my head, blood going everywhere, getting blood on the stone in the hotel lobby. Thank God it wasn't carpeted. And I go to the concierge, who picks his head up from his computer and looks at me and goes, "Oh my God." I says, "Yeah, I just smacked myself with the rental car door. Do you have any tissues, any paper towels, anything? I'm bleeding out here." And he goes, yeah. So he gives it to me, and I immediately, start slapping it on my head. And I went to my room, tried to clean it up. I text my daughter. I'm like, "Honey, I don't think I'm going to be able to make it for dinner tonight." She goes, "What's wrong?" And I shoot her a picture, and she's like, "Oh my God, Dad, go to urgent care, like now." So the urgent care by her college closes at 6 p.m. It's like 7:25. All right, we're doing a late dinner. So I immediately look on my phone and spoke to my wife, and my wife Laura was like, "Have Kay drive you." And I was like, "I don't think I'll make it if Kay drives me." So off I went. I found a place up in Jacksonville, Florida, about a 25-minute trip. I get there 8 minutes before closing. I'm driving with one hand, holding the tissues on my head as this just getting soaked with blood. And I'm like, "Oh, dear God, what is going on with this? This is a nightmare." And it's like I go in, rush in, and they're kind of like a little freaked out because I come running in. They're like, "Oh, my God, what happened to you?" Explain to them what happened. Luckily, they closed at 8, but they were kind enough to take me, and I truly do appreciate that. So that explains the giant gash that I had on my head. I cut my eyebrow and my eyelid. So that was that. So literally my vacation, or little mini vacation down to Florida, started off with a bang, and the bang was my head. Awesome. Anyhow, that's that. So that's the story of my head. All right. Now, if that doesn't warrant you subscribing to hear more stupid crap that happens to me on a regular basis, I don't know what's going to do it. But anyhow, if you're new here, please subscribe. If you're not new here and you haven't subscribed, you're a casual viewer, please subscribe. Also, drop some comments in there. Tell me what you're interested in. What cool stuff have you been listening to? So that's the stuff that that makes me do this channel, drives me to continue doing these episodes week in and week out. And I do appreciate all the viewership, and I do appreciate all those regulars that come back time in and time out, and also those that subscribe. So what are we going to look at this week? 4 minutes into this video already, and I haven't discussed a single record. We're going to talk about the pickups I made while I was down in Florida, of course, because if there's some place in the world that has records, I'm going to find it. So I did. I found a couple of record shops, and they had a kind of like what we call up here a record riot. They had like a big record show on Sunday, which was the day I was leaving. I actually drove by it, but didn't drive in. At that point, I was shot. My bags were packed. I was done. But I did get the opportunity to check out two local record stores. One right across the street from my daughter's college. I had gone to the Chase Bank there, because I got to add in. My daughter, God bless her, what a sweet kid. So we had plans to go out for dinner. And like I said, smacked my head. And, once I got to as I was traveling to the urgent care, she's like, well, I can bring dinner to you. I was like, hey, we'll see. Maybe we'll. And sweet kid showed up at my hotel with 2 pizzas, and it was really nice. And we got to spend some quality daddy-daughter time, shooting the breeze and eating pizza, and, her busting my chops about cracking myself in the head. This is what happens, as I say, when I'm left unsupervised. So big shout out to my daughter, Kay. Love that kid. So that was that. So I didn't want her paying for pizza. She's a freaking poor college kid. So I went to the Chase Bank to take out the money for the pizza. And lo and behold, right next door to the Chase Bank in the same parking lot was this record store called Tone Vendor. So I went into Tone Vendor, and I was really hot to find a record store for a real simple reason. All right. The reason being was that the night before, I'm on Instagram looking at stuff, I saw that they were re-releasing, or the second pressing of, or the first pressing on black vinyl, of the Queens of the Stone Age Alive at the Catacombs, which I was like, oh my God, I got to get this thing. I was almost at the point of like calling my guy up here in Connecticut, one of the guys I deal with in Connecticut, be like, did you get a copy? Could you put it aside for me? And I was like, deep breaths. There's record stores here in Florida. There's got to be one that has it. Sure enough, there was. So this record store, Tone Vendors, right? I went in there, and I actually grabbed three things. First thing I grabbed was Triumph, Sport of Kings. I love this album. All right, I got to see them. This was the only time I got to see Triumph on tour, and they had Yngwie Malmsteen opening. And this was just like a great record for that time. I do love it. Obviously got a used copy because I don't think there's ever been a repress on this bad boy. For a used record, it's not in half bad shape. It's got some good tunes on there. Tears in the Rain. What Rules My Heart is on there. Hooked on You. In the instrumental, Imbrujo, Rick Emmett at his finest. Play with Fire, Just One Night. Somebody's Out There, which was the big hit single. Don't Love Anybody Else But Me. In the Middle of the Night, If Only, and Take a Stand. I mean, it's a great record. I think this might be the last great Triumph record that came out. And I remember that they had Yngwie Malmsteen opening up on that tour. And believe it or not, they blew Yngwie off the stage. Hate to tell you that, Yngwie, but it is what it is. So the other things I picked up while I was in Tone Vendors down in St. Augie's in Florida, the aforementioned Queens of the Stone Age, Alive in the Catacombs. And I got to tell you, this record is spectacular. It is fantastic. It really, so if you don't know anything about this, they managed to record the album in the catacombs in France. And you can hear the weight that's on them in the catacombs, on Josh Homme and the band, as they played in front of all these thousands upon thousands of skeletons that have been housed there for hundreds of years. On this, you got Running Joke and Paper Machete, Collapsia, Villains of Circumstance, Super Up Your Future, which is phenomenal on this album, and I Never Came. If you can get a hold of a copy of this, get it. It's spectacular. It's basic black vinyl, this version, so no need to show you that. So, Josh Homme and the Queens of the Stone Age, Alive in the Catacombs. Definitely worth checking out. And oddly enough, that's the first time I've gotten anything from the Queens on vinyl. Everything else I have is on CD. Speaking of classics, all right, one of the all-time greatest singers in the pantheon of rock and roll has to be Mr. Robert Plant. And Robert Plant has a new one out called Saving Grace with Susie Dion. And this one I got on colored vinyl. I also got this at Tone Bender. And I listened to it once. It's pretty cool. It's definitely along the lines of folksy, country, Americana type stuff. And this is on colored vinyl, as I said. Let's pull this out as gently as possible. Pretty cool looking vinyl right there. And I dig it. You know, it's like I've always been a Plant fan. How can you not be a Plant fan? I loved them, you know, with Zeppelin, Who Doesn't? Loved them with the Honey Drippers. Loved them in all the incarnations of his solo career. And this one just is goes right along with it. Chevrolet kicks off. It's a good tune. As I've roved out, It's a Beautiful Day Today. Soul of a Man. Ticket Taker, I Will Never Marry, Higher Rock, Too Far From You, Everybody's Got Song, and Gospel Plow. So if you were unaware of this one, pick it up. I know Tom Wary, wherever you may be, you had mentioned you were going to pick this up, and that probably put the seed in my head. So there you go, brother. I got that one, and I do dig it. So the other place I got to go, the other store, and this was like I said, the shop by the college was a very typical college shop. They had a lot more newer stuff, pop stuff. It's catering to the neighborhood. It's what it should be. So the other place I got to go was a very funky little shop in the strip mall, also in St. Augie's. And it's like the owner, Eric, who also used to go by the name Julian. I found out we had a really cool conversation hanging out in there. He is straight up 80s guy. Definitely we didn't ask ages, but we're definitely about the same age. Although his hair is a hell of a lot better than mine. And he owns a shop called Music Matters Remixed, where vinyl lives. So we'll show that to you. If you're ever in St. Augustine, check this place out. Very cool shop. He's got a lot of great things in there. And also, I'll show this up. You can freeze that. If you want to go check him out online, you can check him out online too. He is expecting me to send him a wish list, which I will do. I'm just getting my act together here in New York, so we'll get that done. He is on Instagram at Music Matters Remixed, and the same for Facebook. And he's right next to the Hobby Lobby on 196 South Route 312, Riverside Center, next to the Hobby Lobby in St. Augustine, Florida. And he's got everything: guitars and strings, keyboards, music accessories, English, comic books, action figures, Funko Pops, books, posters, and T-shirts, new and used, and collectibles. So go check out my man Eric down at Music Matters Remix. I had a good hour hanging out in the shop with him and just shooting the shit. It was pretty cool. So cool that, looking through stuff, I bought yet again. Zebra, no telling lies. And no telling lies. I'm a putz. I bought it again. Should have checked Discogs. Dummy. But I guess I love this album so much I picked it up again. I'm sure I'll be gifting it to one of my friends. And I think I've actually shown this on the show, but it got Wait Until Summer's Gone. I Don't Like It. Bears, I Don't Care. Bears is a great tune. Lullaby, which is awesome. Title track, No Telling Lies, Taking a Stance. But No More, Little Things and Drive Me Crazy. So that's that. The other thing I picked up, and this was like one of those things like, you talk about Holy Grails. I don't know if I'd put it in the Holy Grail category, but, maybe it's a Purgatory Grail. It's right up there. It's not exactly, but pretty damn close. If you come here week in, week out, I'm a metalhead. I came up in that generation of hair metal and thrash metal back in the 80s, and I love both. I am unabashedly a fan of both styles of music. I'm not one of these people that's kill all poses and all that crap, and I don't turn my nose up at the thrash bands either. I love them both. This is a band that kind of bridged the gap, not between hair metal and thrash metal, but kind of was like the precursor to thrash here in the States. Talking about Metal Church. I love this album. Okay, The Dark. This is an original copy from back in 1986. So back from my senior year of high school, long time ago. And this album is phenomenal. I'm really, it's like cover's a bit beaten up. It's got the original, Electra jacket on it. But I'll tell you, just as I was shown in shop, this sucker is pristine. I mean, gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous vinyl. And the cool thing that Eric has in the shop is he has a listening station. So if there's something you want to buy, you're not sure, you want to make sure it sounds good, throw it on the turntable, check it out. Also, he was really cool with, he's like, so what do you listen to? And I threw out a bunch of bands, and he went and grabbed a disc and threw it on the player while I was hanging out in the store, which is, of course, going to make you hang out longer, which, by me, that's not a difficult thing to do in a record store. But, The Dark, great album. Kicks off with a killer track, Ton of Bricks. Then you get Start the Fire, Method to Your Madness, Watch the Children, Pray. Love that tune. Over My Dead Body, title track The Dark, Psycho, Line of Death, Burial at Sea, and Western Alliance. So you've got Metal Church, the original recorded lineup right here on The Dark. Still in the original shrink wrap still. Is that friggin' nuts? All right. So that covers everything as far as Florida goes. All right. And it's always great when you come back from vacation and there's stuff waiting for you. Wife's not too happy about it, but I'm cool with it. One of the things that arrived while I was away, still obviously in shrink wrap, talking about Oasis. And I purchased this online, got a really good deal on it. And they have another, they had a big box set that came out that was like career spanning. And then they have What's the Story? Morning Glory, that's supposed to be coming out shortly in a box set format. There's a few of their albums that I really love, and they just completed their tour of the U.S. I got to see them back in the 90s with Josh Homme opening up as part of the Screaming Trees, and kind of appropriate to show you this at that stage of the game. Kind of everything works together. So what do we got on here? We've got a whole bunch. We've got 4 slabs of vinyl in this, and you've got great tunes on here like Rock and Roll Star, Shaker Maker, Live Forever, Up in the Sky, Columbia, Sad Song, Supersonic, great tune, Bring It On Down, Cigarettes and Alcohol, one of the classics, Digsy's Diner, Slide Away, and Married with Children. Then you also get the Mono Valley version. So you get pretty much the same tracks, okay, but different versions of it. And then you get the Sawmills outtakes, which are no overdubs of the same tunes again, except on Sad Song, you get the Moldith Road West demo from November of 92. We'll take a look at this because obviously it's the first time I'm looking at it. See what we got in here. So you got a sleeve, an inner sleeve, and I believe these are all lovely black vinyl. Yes, they are. Nothing to see there. So we'll just take a look at the artwork. Right there. Old ticket stub, tour shirt from the time. And I have to say, I always complain, this was one of the worst bands I've ever seen live. And it's because the brothers were deep in fighting and basically being dicks to one another. So that always makes it fun, But I heard the last tour, the current tour that they are on, was spectacular. Regardless, the albums are fantastic. If you're looking for something that's very Beatlesque, very of the 90s, British Invasion that came on through with them and Stone Roses and a bunch of other bands. That's that. So we got the Deluxe 30th anniversary edition of that. And that is everything I have to show for you for this week. But I'll be dropping another episode real soon because why? There was other stuff that came in the mail. And finally, what came out? The Genesis box set. Talk about being stoked to come home to get something like that. I am psyched about it. So I'm going to drop another episode real soon, within the next day or so, and we'll get all caught up on everything that I've been out there running around getting. Once again, thank you so much for checking out the channel. Subscribe. Until next time, peace, one love, music, and I'm out. Even with the cracked head and broken eye. Peace out, guys. Love you.